Alright, what's happening everybody? It's your boy Akeem. Welcome to this vlog. Here to give you a preview of the Louisville Cardinals for the 2015 college football season. Now last year they went 9-4 overall, losing in the Belt Bowl to the Georgia Bulldogs. Now this is Coach Bobby Petrino's second season and they're trying to get back into bowl bid, possibly win an ACC championship. But being in the Atlantic Division, they're going to have a tough season this year. They even have their season opener against the Auburn Tigers. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now let's talk about some of the key players entering this season, starting with quarterback Will Gardner. Now last year he did show a little bit of spark with 12 touchdowns with just 3 interceptions last year, but suffered a season-ending knee injury, and he's definitely going to be battling things out with Reggie Bonifan, the second-string quarterback, who I believe will start at the beginning of the season because of the knee issues that Gardner is still recovering. Now, as far as the offensive unit, they're actually going to have to play without star wide receiver Devontae Parker. He is now with the Miami Dolphins of the National Football League, but they do have the return of running back Brandon Redcliffe, who actually led the team in rushing with 737 yards on rushing and 12 touchdowns, and their second leading receiver and James Quick, 566 yards receiving and just 3 touchdowns. Now, as far as the defensive side, they actually allowed just 21.8 points per game, which is not bad, honestly, but they're going to lose 3 key players, starting with the Jim Thorpe Award winner last season and Gerard Holloman, who is now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, the fellow defensive back player in Charles Gaines, who's now with the Cleveland Browns, and Lorenzo Malden. He was actually drafted as well in the National Football League this past draft. But they do have an upcoming player and a player who sounds very familiar, Devontae Fields, who's actually coming out of junior college, one of the number one players coming out of junior college, and he is automatically, in my opinion, a 5-star recruit. Now the name sounds very familiar, and yes, he is from the Big 12 Conference. He was actually the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year in 2012, which he registered 18 tackles for loss and 10 sacks. Now in the following year, for 2013, he was actually dismissed from the team because of domestic violence case, and he was dismissed in July of 2013 before the season he was domestic violence that he had back into July of 2013, and then he did play a couple of games, but then was actually dismissed from the team later on. So he actually missed the 2014 in junior college. Actually, Trinity Community College was a star there, and he's now signed up with the Louisville Cardinals. Bobby Petrino's definitely going to keep an eye on him. Hopefully he just stays focused and just keep his grades up, stay out of trouble out of the field, and he'll be just fine. He should be an impact player right away on the defensive side. Also, another player that I'm looking at is fellow defensive lineman and senior Sheldon Rankins, who had 9 sacks last season to go along with 54 tackles and 2 interceptions. I think he's going to be due for another great year working along with Fields. Now, as far as their recruits entering, a couple other recruits that they've been picked up this past season outside of Fields is the Travion Samuel, the number 14th athlete coming out of high school, as well as the number 26 wide receiver and Devontae Pete. He's 6'5", 203 pounds. Another Devontae. Hopefully he could be that next player to replace Devontae Parker, who was also a big player as well. And I think because Pete is such a good size target, he can start right away as a true freshman. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they're actually opening the season up against Auburn. So they have a little bit of a scare of the first half of the season. They have Auburn, Florida State, NC State, a couple of close, tough matches in the first half of the season, but a good, favorable second half of the season. They have a pretty easy schedule in that second half. I think this team is going to go 7-5 this year, 8-4 at best. There's just too much of a scare earlier in the season. I think that NC State is a sleeper this year in the ACC Conference. I'm already calling them out as my sleeper, so that's why I called them out as a scare matchup for Louisville. And they do have Auburn and Florida State. That is going to be a couple tough matches, and Clemson, which is going to be some close matches as well. I think those could be 4 possible losses. I think this team, actually, I'm going to take that back. They could go 9-3 at best this upcoming season. But we will see. I think it's going to be a very exciting year in the ACC Conference, and we should see, and in my opinion, I think this is going to be a new champion this upcoming season. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys will be in just a couple of minutes. I have at least 7 more blogs for you today. Thank you for watching this vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.